So, my dear students, Crimean War was the most useless war ever fought in the history of the world, opinion by Robert Moyer. Robert Moyer, according to him, Crimean War was a useless war. It was the most, the ever fought waste war of the history. Now, coming to the fact history, let me tell you the most effective way of learning any subjects in UPSC preparation, I'm telling you, yes, you try to be involved in that. When you learn history or the culture or the Indian polity, constitution, Indian economy, you be the stakeholder. You try to involve in that, try to enjoy that particular process of learning. Okay, this is not just for writing answers in your examination, solving questions. This is for understanding. This is for understanding what is the condition of India, the society, the economy, the polity, the geography, the constitution. Okay, all these things are essential for being a good citizen and for being a good bureaucrat. Am I right? Yeah. So, world history, why is Crimean War the most useless war ever fought in the history? In Lucifer movie also you seen that, yes, the hero delivered the dialogue, war is always between the evil forces versus evil forces. Am I right? Yes. So, here you see, this is, war is always is not at all productive one. This is not for the like a good of the humankind or mankind. Okay, war is always useless, and he says this is the most useless war ever fought. Now, in this war, we have seen there are two teams, one is Brazil and Argentina. No, this is one side Russia is there. Yes, one side Russia is there versus, yes, Turkey. Turkey is there, Ottoman Empire is there. Yes, you know, Britain is there. Yeah, France is there. Piedmont, Sardinia, Italy is there. All those powers are on the opposite side. And why this war is fought? Yes, the Ottoman Empire is in the state of decline or disintegration, and Russia says that Russia is fighting for protection of or safeguarding, yes, safeguarding the interest of this Slavic population. Okay, Slavic population or these Orthodox Christians in the Balkan Peninsula. Russia says Russia is fighting, that is to safeguard the cultural, religious, economic aspirations of the Orthodox subjects in this Ottoman Empire. According to Russia, the Orthodox Christians are suffering under this Ottoman Sultan rule. Okay, so he says, or Russia says, yes, Russia is fighting this war to safeguard the interest of the Orthodox Christians in the Ottoman Empire. And this war is actually, this is a very silly religious issue. What was the issue? Yes, this Russian Orthodox churches versus Roman Catholic churches. There is a quarrel. This Orthodox priest and this Catholic priest, Roman Catholic priest, you know, they quarreled among themselves. It is over the control of Jerusalem, the Christian holy places in Ottoman Empire. Okay, both these groups, that Orthodox churches and these Catholic churches, Roman Catholic churches, they started fighting over the control of these holy places in Ottoman Empire or over the Jerusalem church. Who will control the Jerusalem church? Over which you can see that it will become a war between two groups. One side Russia, opposite side of Britain, France, Turkey, Italy, etc. Okay, so Russia stood for the Orthodox churches, and the France, Britain, etc., they are on other side, protecting the interest of Roman Catholic Church. Now you see, this war was a useless war in the history because it fought over silly quarrel over this control over the Jerusalem church. You see, who will control Jerusalem churches? You know, one side says we will control. Okay, Orthodox churches say we will control. It is our right, or it is our privilege to control or have control over the Jerusalem churches. Opposite side, Roman Catholics, they wanted the control of Jerusalem churches. Okay, it became a world war issue or a Crimean War issue, you see. And this war was useless because it fought over silly religious issue, a very trivial religious issue, a small issue which could have been discussed over a table. Okay, it was on a silly religious issue. That is one reason why it is a useless war. Second is, Even after this war, there is no permanent solution to this. There is no permanent solution to Eastern question. Okay, Eastern question, that tension is also shoot up during this particular. It also shot up during this particular Crimean War. But that Eastern question, there is no permanent solution provided to Eastern question even after this Treaty of Paris after the war. Okay, that way also it is useless. So there was no permanent solution to Eastern question. Eastern question we already discussed. Am I right? What was that international question? What was that tension? Now see, this war is also meant to check this Russian expansion in this in the Europe. But unfortunately, what happened is, yes, exactly after 14 years, you can see that, yes, Russia wiped off all the restrictions imposed upon Russia after this war. After Crimean War, we have seen there is terrible defeat of this Russia, some restrictions imposed upon this Russia. But what had Russia done is, just after 10 to 14 years, Russia wiped off all restrictions over Russia, and Russia, started its expansions over Central Asia also. Not just Europe, Russia's focus shifted to Central Asia. Then it became a huge threat for this British or this French aspirations in this Central Asia, West Asia. Now, Sultan, no reforms promised in the treaty. That means after this war, according to Treaty of Paris, Sultan was asked to take care of some reforms in his state so that the people will be happy. Some liberal reforms, democratic reforms or republican reforms he was supposed to take, he was supposed to implement in his state. But there is no such reforms undertaken by this particular Sultan. That way also it was a failure. Then by 1878 itself, Russia wiped off all the restrictions imposed upon her by Treaty of Paris. And you see that the neutrality over the Black Sea is removed. You see that, again you can see that Russia got a control over, or Russia focused on its aggressions. Russia focused on its naval aggressions, expansions. Anyway, that way also this was a useless war, and it also caused huge death. There is huge casualty, huge death, and there are no fruitful results. Because of these reasons, Robert Morier says it was one of the useless war ever fought in the history of the world. But we must have the opposite side also. We must check the counter views also. This, when we say that it was useless war, you see that the state system of the Europe is collapsed. After this war, let me tell you, the state system of the Europe is disturbed. I mean, the idea of nationalism, or the nation state, or the idea of liberalism or liberal government, okay, the idea of a protest against despotic ruler, despotic government, such things become so strong in Europe. Eventually, let us say, the result was, you can see there is unification of many states, unification of Italy, unification of Germany, all these things happened. Nationalism, liberalism, democracy, republicanism, such ideas become so popular in Europe, especially after this war. So the state system of the Europe is disturbed after this war. That is a positive angle of this Crimean War. Then liberalism, nationalism, such ideas become so popular. Then this Italy-Germany unification happened. I mean, after this war, again see reforms within. Even this Piedmont Sardinia got an opportunity to talk about her pathetic conditions and restrictions by Austria-Hungary over these Italian states. So Piedmont Sardinia got an opportunity to represent herself in this Paris conference. Okay, so let me tell you that this war it disturbed the state system. It disturbed the Metternich status quo. And also it promoted the idea of liberal government, national state, or nation state. Then it eventually resulted in unification of this Italy, then Germany. Then even Russia also witnessed reforms within her. After her failure, she witnessed reforms within the state, and she was able to get rid of her medieval stagnation. Okay, all this happened after this war. That way it was not that kind of useless war. When we say it is useless, opposite side we must say how much it was useful also. Okay, or what all the positive aspects of this war, especially the positive consequences of this war, that also we have to check in our answers. Okay, so take care of this aspect.